Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you gotten that feeling lately? You know the one. The feeling that the internet, all those platforms you use every single day, just aren't as good as they used to be? It all feels a little slower, a lot more cluttered, and way less useful? Well, guess what? You're not imagining things. Today, we're going to look at exactly why that's happening, we're going to give it a name, and then we're going to explore a really radical plan to help us all take back control, one community at a time.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll confirm that shared feeling. Yep, the internet is getting worse. Then we'll dig into the anatomy of why it's happening. After that, we're going to pivot and look at a completely different way of building these things. Check out a real-world community super app, and finally, talk about how we can start rebuilding the web together.
All right, first up, let's just talk about that feeling, because it's real. It is not just you. The digital places where we all spend our time are actively, deliberately being made worse, and it's all happening by design.
Our guide for this first part of the journey is the author and activist Cory Doctorow. And this quote from him just cuts right to the chase. It's not an accident, it's not a bug, it's a choice. These platforms are intentionally making their own products worse for you and me, the users, to make them better for their shareholders.
Now, Doctorow has actually given this whole process a name, and, well, it's a pretty memorable one: in-shitification. It's a framework that perfectly describes this predictable, almost inevitable decay of the platforms we once really loved into these frustrating, value-sucking machines.
So how does this actually happen? Well, it's not just random. There's a pattern, a deliberate three-stage life cycle. Let's break down the anatomy of how a good platform goes bad.
And here it is, the whole process laid out. Stage 1, they are so good to us, the users. They give us this amazing, often free service to get us all hooked and locked in. Then comes stage 2. Once we're all stuck there, they start making things a little worse for us in order to make things better for their real customers, the advertisers, the sellers. And finally, stage 3. They turn the screws on everybody, users and businesses, to squeeze out every last cent of value for the investors, leaving behind just a shell of what it once was.
And I mean, you can see this pattern everywhere. Remember when your Facebook feed was actually about your friends? Now it's just a sea of ads and weird suggested content. Amazon used to be the go-to for price and reliable service. Now you have to scroll past a page of sponsored junk to find what you're looking for. And Google, like Doctorow said, they will now literally give you worse results on purpose, just to make you search again and see more ads. It's wild.
So, okay, that's the problem. We understand the disease, but what's the cure? Are we just doomed to watch this cycle of decay happen over and over again? Or is there another way to build our digital world?
And this really gets to the core of it all. The problem isn't just a few bad companies, it's the entire system. It's a broken system of centralized monopolies where their incentives are just fundamentally at odds with what's best for us, the users, and our communities.
The alternative? Well, it's to change the entire structure. Instead of that centralized monopoly where one company owns all the data and sucks up all the value, you can build a federated model. In this world, the local community owns the data, the value stays local, and the whole thing is funded by fair subscriptions, not creepy surveillance. Now, federated might sound like a complicated tech term, but you already use it every single day. Just think about email. You might have a Gmail account, I might have an Outlook account, but we can still send messages back and forth, right? That's because they're built on a shared, open standard. The Fediverse just takes that exact same idea and applies it to things like social media. All these different platforms, Mastodon, PeerTube, PixelFed, they're independent, but they can all talk to each other. There's no single boss, which means no single company can ruin it for everyone.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract theory. It's actually being put into practice right now. Let's take a look at how a platform called Ethical Web AI is building this federated, community-owned future for real.
And this right here, this is the vision. It's called the Community Super App. So, instead of having dozens of different apps on your phone all trying to extract your data, imagine just one app. But this one is owned and managed by your local community. And it bundles together all the essential digital tools you need, but built ethically.
And just look what's inside this thing. You get anonymous search, so your privacy is actually protected. You get access to generative AI without your data being sold off. You get a built-in, ad-free social network, community payment processing that keeps fees low for local shops. And this is huge, a new, sustainable home for local journalism, something our towns desperately need back.
But how do you pay for all this, right? Well, instead of ads, the model is incredibly simple and fair.
Local businesses just pay a flat monthly subscription, kind of like the old Yellow Pages, to be listed on the platform. That's it. No more 30% commissions on every sale, no more predatory per-click fees. It just creates a level playing field.
And if you're thinking, yeah, but does this actually work in the real world? You have to hear about this. In Dunfermline, Scotland, a local team used this exact model to create their own food delivery app to take on a multi-billion-dollar giant. And the results were just incredible. The vast majority of people in town switched to the local app, keeping money, data, and control right there in their own community.
And here's the craziest part. They took over the market with that's right, £0 spent on online advertising. The whole thing was promoted entirely by the local businesses themselves, who finally had a platform that was working for them, not against them.
So you see, this model doesn't just fix your food delivery app. When you change the fundamental structure, who owns it, who profits from it, you can start to tackle some of society's biggest, thorniest problems.
You can almost think of it as a way to fight back against the four horsemen of the modern tech apocalypse. You've got tech monopolies? Well, decentralized ownership breaks their control. A broken economy? This model keeps revenue flowing locally. A broken democracy? The platform itself can be governed by citizens, with profits going back into local needs. And what about truth decay? You fight it by funding ad-free social media and real local news, which creates a much healthier public square for all of us.
And here's the proof that this is genuinely about the community. A full 80% of all the revenue generated stays right there with the local group that runs the app. That money can then be reinvested into other community projects, creating this amazing virtuous cycle of local growth.
Which brings us all the way back to this powerful thought from Cory Doctorow. The future is not set in stone. The way the internet works today feels permanent, but it's not. It was built by people, which means it can be rebuilt by people.
So that's really the question that this leaves us with, isn't it? We've seen what's making the internet sick, and we've seen a potential cure that's rooted in community control. It really makes you stop and wonder, what could your community build if you had the tools to own your own little corner of the web?